Hi, I'm Chris Martinson of Peak Prosperity. It is Thursday, November 9th. I am recording this a day early because about to go off to the Row seminar. I leave in just about an hour, which is a 4-day long seminar we're holding in Row, Massachusetts. Very different this time. This is on, at Peak Prosperity, we talk about three big areas. There's the knowing. That's the crash course and all the geopolitical and worldwide analysis we do. Knowing, doing, prosper. What are you going to do about this information? And then the last part is being. That's what this seminar is about, which is, let's face it, we're facing an existential crisis. I don't know if you saw last week that on the Twitter feed, people were pushing out that the last male white rhino, there's just one left, and they put out a picture and just said, this is what extinction looks like. This is happening all across the world, that we're losing big, giant sentinel species like the white rhino, which we can see and we understand, but what do we do with the fact that 80% of the insects have disappeared, many of them uncategorized, unstudied, unknown? We don't even know what they do. They're just little things that fly around, and maybe somebody will study them someday. Now, as this is being recorded, the markets had a tumble and a recovery and a tumble and another recovery. We're right at this crazy place where here's what you need to know about our markets, air quotes, today. I would bet you that if you suddenly raptured all the humans, they all got lifted by aliens and went to outer space, that what would happen next is the computers would continue to play with each other. They would continue to trade stocks up and down. They would continue to bat the ball back and forth. And as long as the central bank servers were throwing more money into the markets, the computers would continue to trade up the shares of everything, even though it was completely meaningless. Now, this week, I've written probably one of the larger, more comprehensive reports I've done in a while, two-parter, about the big, gigantic, enormous realignment that's happening with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, pivoting away from the United States and towards both China and Russia. This is the biggest geopolitical realignment in the last 50 years. It's enormous. It's not really being reported on in your news, unless you really dig for it. I did not find really anything matching the severity and importance of this information in my own newspapers, which include Wall Street Journal right on the table there, and my local newspaper. This is big news, and here's why. China had has a petroleum university where you can go and study petroleum, whole university. It's in Beijing, and the state government of China had commissioned a report and said, tell us where we are in petroleum. And they went off and dutifully, and they looked at China's total energy situation, conventional oil fields, unconventional oil fields. China's given a run at some shale fracking. They don't have quite the right geology for it, it seems. Anyway, they added it all up, and guess what they concluded? They concluded that China's going to hit its own peak oil on all forms of oil in 2018. They're already importing 8 million barrels a day. And that's likely to double, according to this study, in the next 12 years, bringing us out to the year 2030. Now, where's China going to get all that oil from? That's the story. If you understand that story, now you can begin to unravel and understand why the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is pivoting towards its new partners. You understand why Russia and China are increasingly aligned with that new 600,000 barrel a day pipeline that's now servicing Chinese petroleum refiners coming out of Russia. This all begins to make sense. Oil is reality, people. The markets are derivatives of oil. The markets are not reality. They are claims on reality. Oil remains the reality. If you want to go from point A to point B, hey, 95% of that energy involves oil or a derivative of oil. So that's the world we still live in. Hey, we're all excited. Electric cars may come along, self-driving cars. I don't know if you heard the first one that they let loose crashed right away. So little work to be done there. But they're not anywhere near the scale yet. The scale involved in the amount of energy we get from oil is not going to be replaced anytime soon by other means. China knows that. They commissioned the study. They dared to say the word peak oil to themselves. Didn't scare them. They said, what are we going to do about that? The United States is busy worrying about what tweets the president is sending out and whether NFL players are taking a knee, and celebrities were just distracted. It's just astonishing. So coming back from Germany, where I saw that they have a whole museum in one of the key museums in downtown Munich just devoted to this idea of an energy transition. You should have seen it. It's amazing. You walk in, they're like, hey, humans, you know what's going to happen? Here's the history of humanity with population. Here's how much energy we get from fossil fuels. Here's how we use them, and they are running out. What are we going to do about it? An entire culture is talking about it in Germany, other places in Europe, China. The only place that's really not talking about this is the United States. And that's my own country, which bums me out because this is actually the biggest deal ever. And it's why I think we're going to be seeing a complete breakdown in these markets somewhere between here and the end of 2019 because only one of two things happens with oil. Either demand falls or supplies are going to have to go up a lot. In that story, supplies can't go up a lot for a variety of reasons. There's a little extra wiggle room in the shale play, but nothing like what's actually needed, considering China's past peak, Norway's past peak, the UK's past peak, and we've got past peak in Mexico, on and on and on. It's a really big story. So not many people talking about it. I think that the movements in Saudi Arabia, you need to understand them, and in particular because that could easily lead to an outbreak of a wider regional war, which is really between the Sunnis and the Shias, which is really between Saudi Arabia and Iran. That's the story that's unfolding, but oil's at the heart of that. So come on by Peak Prosperity, take a look at that. I'm going to have a great weekend having a whole being seminar. Really looking forward to that. I will see you next week.